Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Gaming the System, the podcast where three intersectional feminists examine gaming and games through a feminist lens. Today, I'm your host, Alex, and I'm joined by Matt. Before we get started, if you want to support us, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem for some exclusive content. Or you can send us a one-off donation via PayPal to our email address wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com. Today we are going to be covering most recent gaming news, another gaming news episode. And I think today's episode is going to feature a lot of chat about Space Marine and Warhammer and the latest release of their video game. It originated in video games. As my partner in the past, as he does have little Warhammer figurines and he goes and paints them. Yes, it's all I understand the outside of it, and I don't understand the in-depth details of it. But this story caught my attention this week, and I don't know if you've got the same story, Mike, because part of the fun of our gaming news episode is that we each bring our own stories to tell everyone about. And we don't know whether they're going to be the same or not. So, shall I start off with mine?
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
I got this from an article published on rockpapershotgun.com about the CEO of Saber, who is the developer of Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2, posting on a YouTube video that was critiquing it for being basically oozing masculinity with no excess feelings or real life social relevance, which, you could argue might be the case with Warhammer 40K. And the article basically revolves around this person who says he's the CEO of Saber. We don't know 100% whether he is or she. We don't know. But the person behind the keyboard is what I'm trying to say. But I can read you the quote on the video. For context, actually, I should mention what the video was. Let's see.
This is the same topic that I had chosen.
So that's interesting.
You should have. You'll probably come at it from different angles, which is really interesting.
The writer of the article speaks about gesticulating milords of the internet opine that they had forgot what it's like to be the target audience for games, hailing the new brackets and for our money fairly good Warhammer 40k shooter as a throwback affair that oozes masculinity with no excess feelings or real life social relevancy. And then this person is doing their research, reading the comments underneath the video, and basically searching for one particular comment written by somebody claiming to be Matthew Karch, spelled Karch. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The CEO of Space Marine 2 developers, Saber Interactive. Okay, so I'll read you the post. And it says, "Hey man, CEO of Saber here. I love your videos. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had the chance to work on something which by its nature was, quotes, old school. I can't even comprehend many of the current games that we play these days. They are too complex and too much of an investment. We worked on Halo back in the day, and that game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. This is what we wanted to recapture. I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time when games were simply about fun and immersion. I spent some time as Chief Operating Officer at Embracer, and I saw games that made me want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. for me, that is what games should be about. So, have you read that quote, Matt? Or is it the first time you've heard it?
Yeah, that's the flashpoint for me thinking about this, because I had a miraculous experience with Space Marine 2.
We've seen some of your uploads on our GTS YouTube channel. You've been streaming it, haven't you?
That was the first one.
The first one. Okay.
Cool. The first one
Going
came
back
out
through the archives.
Yeah, because I was really excited about it, because I really enjoyed the first one, and I've been massively getting into Warhammer 40K in a completely new gear recently, because I love the lore, learning how to how the gameplay actually works, choosing my favorite factions that I would like to do, and the Space Marine is the coolest, most awesome set of words ever, and they are this awesome beacons of the Imperium of Man, and big butch awesome indomitable wills, and they're just all the lore around them is incredibly cool. And in the first one, it's so interesting, because what this comes down to for me is masculinity, and what the versions of masculinity that there are, right? Because in the original one, I'll tell you my miracle first. One of my favorite factions are the Tyranids, which are the aliens, and so I was really excited to fight swarms of them, and I started playing it. And I played it for 3 hours, and it was awful.
Oh,
it was dreadful. Okay. It was really. It looked good to a certain extent. The combat was okay. Some of the elements of it was really cool, but the absolute worst part of it, which I couldn't get past, and watching the Angry Joe show stream it for 30 hours as well. The writing of these men is the most humiliating and embarrassing version of masculinity possible, because been reading there's the thing called the Black Library, which is all of the hundreds of novels that have been written in the Warhammer 40K universe, and the Space Marines are meant to be with every legion, there are 20 legions, I think, and all of them are very, very different sort of legion personalities. But one thing that is important, especially in the Ultramarines, which is the ones in the Space Marine games, is that they are warrior scholars. They are not just blunt instruments of war. They think, they feel, they have depth to them. They are not just killing machines. And in this, literally every word that comes out of their mouth is, we're going here. We have to. The worst thing is they speak with the same cadence all the time, because we have to get to where the Tyranid Hive Fleet is, brother. We will make them pay for their treachery, brother. Brother, over here now, we must go to this thing. Brother, we must protect the pylons from the Tyranids. And it's the exact same cadence every single time, all the way through. And the only things they say are what we're doing now, where we're going, what we have to do, and the occasional quip of, they should never have turned their back on the Emperor. And anyone who looks at this and thinks, oh, yes, that's what masculinity is it's the worst possible kind of masculinity to try and emulate, because they're mistaking masculinity is evolving in a good way in terms of the range of role models that we have now, right? Because especially in gaming, because we've got Joel from The Last of Us, we've got Kratos in the God of War remakes, We've got what was another one? It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Geralt of Rivia,
Geralt, yes.
that was evolved in the TV show. Whereas you've got these sort of iconic, like templates, these stereotypes of masculinity, these big, strong, indomitable, nothing can stop them men. But they also it's not that they don't have emotions, it's that they feel extremely deeply, and they aren't as sophisticated in expressing those feelings. And that's the path that men should be following in terms of masculinity, because you can still be this great big space marine badass, killing everything in sight, 10,000 years old for the Emperor awesomeness, and you can also be incredibly emotionally rich and emotionally intelligent. And they just completely fucked it with Space Marine 2. But the miracle was, I played it for 3 hours. I spent the £55 on it. I went, ugh. And the reason the nail in the coffin was that there wasn't ultra wide screen support. So I was willing to go, right, I'll move from my TV to my monitor, so the frame rate will be higher, it'll be wider, and maybe that'll be okay. But then it didn't have that on launch for some reason. And so I Googled it and found a forum where a guy said, oh yeah, I got mine refunded because it didn't have ultra-wide support.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't think that was a thing on Steam. No. I thought it was basically, that was it. You buy it and then that's it. As I found out to my cost when I bought Suicide Squad. £60 for probably the worst game ever made.
Yeah.
But this, I applied for a refund and I got a fucking refund.
Well done. Oh, success.
That is properly the Emperor protecting.
That is a miracle.
And
wow.
So yeah, I've had quite a wild ride on that. And and then that quote, again, it's everyone's going, no comment, no comment, no comment. All the legal team, all the representatives from Sabre going, and they're going, that doesn't sound...
Which doesn't sound like something you would say if it wasn't that person. Interestingly, the article does go on to say a bit more about, they kind of dug around and tried to figure out who they were. They registered their account in May 2024, and the description says, a generic male of sorts, lover of loud guitars, violent games, fast cars, and all sorts of whiskey. Which is certainly generic, says the author of this article, suspiciously so. And then they kept saying there would be no comment from all the PR representatives, which the author took to mean PR speak for yes, it's real. Hold on, let's see. And then he goes on to question whether it is real about the shoehorning in the mention of Wukong, Black Myth Wukong, by a studio which has a reputation for sexism. I think we talked about it previously on the pod, cautioning streamers against feminist propaganda. And they think it might be AI generated, basically, which is an interesting thing because I certainly feel like it's kind of we've been almost sleeping on it, but I feel like AI is probably a lot more widespread now than we actually even realize, even though it's appearing all over everything we use, like prompts to use AI and all that sort of stuff. I just wonder also as well, you can't discount it. And then interestingly, they bring up the idea about Warhammer 40K as a kind of piece of satire, which is interesting to think about because it puts me in mind of things like Starship Troopers. You've seen Starship Troopers, right,
Yeah.
Matt? Yeah. And saying that because it's been around for so long now, a couple of decades, that kind of satirical nuance has been lost for these newer generations, and they just see it as straight up what it is. That's how you should be if you want to be masculine, which is an interesting point to think
Yeah.
about in the article. But I think, as you say, you made the point brilliantly. You have to understand that there are other ways to express your emotion, and you can still, obviously they do have all those deep emotions, they're just not necessarily expressing them in the right ways. But I think you can also, when you think about the game as a game in general, shooty, kill the aliens, that sounds like a lot of fun, and it might be a lot of fun for some people, and I can certainly see the appeal, because sometimes you just want to shoot stuff, and that's fine. But you can also have lots of games which are completely different and feature a lot of different things in them, and the two can exist in harmony. So I don't agree with the commenter saying that this is the way that games should be, full stop, period. Because games are about so much more than what this closed-minded view of what did he say it was, fun and immersion. Fun and immersion takes a different form for everybody because of our own lived experiences. So I really think that is a slightly closed-minded way of looking at it. Another interesting section of the article towards the end mentioned that somebody claiming to be Space Marine 2's creative director, Oliver Hollis-Leck, again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so apologies, has also commented on the Asmongold video, though his comments are a lot more guarded. Here's his response in full. And they say, creative director of the game here. I wrote Space Marine 2 along with Craig Sherman, Randy Beagle, and Matthew Garcia Dunn. Hearing everything you have to say about the story and characters resonates so strongly with our actual approach. It's great to hear you calling out the exact things that we intentionally focused on. It was 4.5 years of intense work and passion, and watching videos like this makes it all worth it. And the author goes on to say that they interviewed Hollis-Leck earlier in the week, discussing a bunch of things ranging from more innocent chat about the game's jump pack implementation to how you do a Space Marine power fantasy that isn't an endorsement of bigotry and genocide. And they say they were going to write about it this week, but they're going to give it more thought in the wake of this comment from the person claiming to be Karch. So I look forward to reading those pieces in future. But yeah, did you have any thoughts on the creative director's comment?
It's again there is the off chance that these are bots.
Yeah.
But there's also they have the theme of like the coded language of like these kinds of people are going, say bad to the woke mob, and that just means their very restrictive view of the way that life should be. And the point about the Warhammer universe being satire is very valid.
Yeah.
Because there's a problem when people who want these particular like strains of masculinity, they will choose that regardless of the setting. It's going, I want to be like that Space Marine, and then you go, well, what about them? It being a dictatorship, basically a martial law with all the rich and go, well, I'd be the one on top, so I don't care about anything else. And they're not like scared of wokeness. They're scared of depth. They want surface level stuff that makes them feel the way they think they should. And I don't know how you snap people out of that, because you go, we want your... What we want, the difference between us and them, is that we want their lives to be better. We want them to go, oh yeah, this diversity and depth actually improves your experience of things. And they go, no, we want you to suffer. We want you to play shit games that you don't like because there's no other choice. And it's one of those things where, just like with how I think you save the world from just people detached from reality and people who are full of hate and violence, is you need to ignore them, mitigate the damage they can do, and improve their lives. Because if you raise someone's wages, that'll help them chill out. If you increase their holiday time, move them down to a 4-day work week, work from home, all these things that you can implement into someone else's life, you go, all right, you can calm down now. And
yeah, I don't know if I was reading it wrong, but it sounded like the creative director was kind of siding with the criticism of the masculinity on show. But yeah, I don't know. I might need to read it again. But it's certainly interesting. And I definitely think it's worth questioning whether either are real, given our recent episode on disability advocate who turned out not to be real. Not that I'm going to start suspecting everything, but yeah, we've had lots of episodes on AI as well, and I really think it's bleeding its way into everywhere, perhaps without us realizing. I don't want to sound like I've got a tinfoil hat on, but I'm beginning to see it more and more. So
my guess with so 2 games recently, the Modern Warfare 3 campaign is the worst. Like, again, goes on the list of the worst things ever made, and it really. So what they did was they've got normally they'll make a campaign, which is a campaign that you go through, and then the multiplayer is separate. But what Modern Warfare does now is they've got their Warzone game, which is this massive map of a huge city and the outskirts of that as well, which you just drop people in and you do missions through that. What they did was they just took sections of that map and had you play a mission on those sections. They didn't create anything new. They just put you in this map that they'd already made. And it was some of the worst writing I've ever experienced. And it felt like you just got an AI to write it.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it felt like to me. It was just gruff noise. And that's a similar way to how I heard the Space Marine stuff, because they think that being a Space Marine is saying brother every other sentence and talking in the same cadence constantly in a gruff voice. And one thing that I'm torn about, because in the original one, the voice of Titus, the main character, was Mark Strong. And he played it as he plays most things, as this very clipped, like I'm a British Army officer voice, and that gives a sense of educatedness and depth that comes along with it, because of the way we've been conditioned that if you're posh, then it means you've got depth.
You have some ranking in society. Yeah.
And so you go, okay, that feels like more what a Space Marine should be. Is they don't need to have posh accents, but they've got that depth of character. Whereas this one, they got a guy called Clive Standen, who was in Vikings, and he was really good in that.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
but I've not seen him be good in anything else.
Okay, fair enough.
And in this one, he's just a shouty brother brother talking in the same cadence, and you just go, there's no.
It starts to get a little irritating, I bet. It just feels lazy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
I just think with writing, writing's one of those tricky things, because I've said that if you've finished writing a book, then you're a good writer, and I really believe that, because finishing any kind of artistic endeavor is the hardest thing, because anyone can write a little bit. But then stuff like game writing and movie writing it's the words people say are the most important things, and some people just aren't very good at writing interesting words.
No. Yeah.
And then I don't know how you. Another thing, watching certain Warhammer players, there are people who you go, right, they think about it a lot, and then they implement that thinking, and then that leads to them being a good player. And then there are players who don't think about it very much, and then that leads to them not playing as well. But then you can talk to that person and then coach them and then improve their thinking. But then there's another faction of people who think as much as the people who think and play well. They do as much thinking as that, but it's bad thinking, so it doesn't translate to good results. And that problem is like spread through everything, of people going, right, these writers might do 60-hour work weeks, and they might pour their heart and soul into it, and then come up with the stuff that's in Space Marine 2. And then there's so many different areas where we're going, is this person thinking this through? If they're thinking it through, are they being honest about it? Which the people saying no comment about these messages going, well, if you didn't believe these things, you would just go, oh yeah, it's just a fun game that we enjoyed making, and get out of it whatever. Or they go, we 100% agree with it and we said it, but the PR's telling us not to do it. And just all these areas of just make good games, please. And have a point. I get so annoyed with people who don't make specific points about stuff. Of going, well, why don't you like the game? I go, the writing's dreadful, the acting's dreadful. It looks good. The gameplay can be good, and I could go on to a long list of things of my reasoning of why it's not very good. But then when someone comes in and goes, oh, there's too much wokeness, there's too much diversity, there's too much this, that, and the other, and you just go, what are you talking about? And
you wonder what they're trying to hold on to, really. I think it's kind of like all nostalgia. We get that warm, fuzzy feeling with it because it reminds us of a time when life was easier, I want to say. But but it's not necessarily that straightforward. But armchair psychologist aside, I think that might be a little bit of what's going on here. And that people feel out of control when they feel like other people are taking more away from them. But in fact, we're just trying to level the playing field, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because not everyone's had the same representation or exposure in different areas of life. And we should all have as much representation and exposure as we're able to. Shouldn't be shutting people out of society.
It's like a make gaming great again.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Which is it? Yeah. It's just the problem with it is it's a fantasy. It's a thing that has never existed, and it's a thing that can't exist. And so it sets up a perpetual culture war, because they can't win, because there isn't a victory. They can only do damage. And
You know, while you were talking about gruff male voices, it actually reminded me of For Honor. Did you ever play For Honor?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how like weirdly American the accent was for the character that you were playing. I think I played a Viking. As this is when I used to play a lot of multiplayer games with Tom because we weren't living together. And the way it was like you played like this Viking character, and it was like, oh, the group's moving forward, and we need to progress. Like, and it was all like really, really, really gruff and like really thick American accent, and I was just like, it just made me laugh, and it took me right out of it because I was like, what is this? Why are they talking like this? It should be a Norse accent. It's a Viking. So yeah, it was just very odd, but it actually became a source of amusement, and we just ended up taking the piss out of it for the entire time that we played. So we had fun, but not necessarily perhaps the way that the developers intended us to be having fun, which I thought was an interesting memory to bring up.
A problem with the stereotype of like traditional masculinity is that it's too flawed to survive because what you're supposed to be is going, oh yeah, look at that man, that awesome masculine man, he's an alpha male. But any man of that kind can be brought low at any time because someone speaking in what they think is a gruff, cool voice just go, you just sound silly. You sound silly. Why are you putting this on all the time? And
in a weird way, it kind of helped me to remember that it was just a game. And like, because sometimes people can get really absorbed by the gameplay to the point that it becomes like, not healthy. But when it so sort of takes you out of it and you can start mocking it, you're like, oh, what a silly game. Let's just have some fun and swing around an axe for a bit, and then we can go and do other stuff. I don't know what kind of point I'm trying to make here, but do you kind of get where I'm coming from?
yeah,
If that makes sense.
Again, the bad writing and poor characters break immersion. So you go, right, I'm not doing this because... So with Doom Eternal, for example, the writing in the story is just completely... I couldn't tell you. It's just nothing, basically. But the gameplay is awesome enough that I don't care. I don't care why I'm doing what I'm doing and where I'm going because it's just awesome and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. But when certain parts are so jarring that you can't get immersed in it, then it makes you focus like, oh, well, what other reason are there for me to continue playing this? And then you look like the gameplay of it, the hand-to-hand can be good, but every single mission, because it's 3-player co-op, every single mission is a version of the kind of missions that 3-player co-op games do. So you've got to hold this objective. You've got to hold the line until reinforcements arrive. You've got to protect the thing. You've got to capture the flags. And when it's not even dressed up in any like compelling writing, just go, well, I'm doing something that I don't care about, that is obviously geared towards something that isn't to do with the story, with characters that I don't care about, listening to dreadful words said dreadfully. But I got a refund. So
well done.
That's
yeah.
Ka-ching.
But it's fun. Those types of games can be fun. I think like we're not saying it's not fun, but I think they're only fun for as long as the novelty is there. And once that wears off, you can move on to the next thing. Or at least that's what I found with games like For Honor. But always interesting to talk about.
I'll close with like when I'm criticizing a game like this, I go, well, there are some things that are my personal thing and some things that I view as objectively not very good. But you still, I go, it's sold millions upon millions of copies.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of people love it. And so both things can be true because you can't tell people what they like And if something's successful, then it's doing something right. And it's not doing any damage, I don't think.
No,
It's
I
not
don't
going to
think
be.
so.
It's not going to be. This is the turning point of we're going to hark back to everyone doing this, because you can
No.
have this kind of game,
Yeah.
and it's probably not trying to be this masculine power fantasy like these comments suggest. It's probably not trying to be that.
No. No.
And then you've got a game like Baldur's Gate 3, which is even more popular. And the diversity just in the main characters is off the charts, and that's infinitely more popular and deeper. But I think, still, this is an interesting point of conversation that pops up occasionally. But fortunately, gaming is going in the right direction for the most part. So they can have their fun with their game. That's fine. I don't care. But we're winning. Overall.
Indeed, yes. And that is the luxury of player choice, isn't it? The more diversity you have within games and the gaming industry, the more choice you're going to have for the games to play, which is what is a good thing about diversity. So I think we'll end this episode here for today. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening and watching. Do share it with your friends if you think they could do with a listen. And if you have anything to say on this story, comment, share it, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.